Hello and lovely to have you back at Vicky's Crafts again. Today our project are these pretty little birds. They're very easy to do, they're very therapeutic to do, very relaxing, and you can do them by hand or on the sewing machine. I'll just get a close-up for you so you can see what they're like. I've popped a little robin in there just so you can see the diversity of it, because you can use this pattern for other birds. You can do blue tits, you can do blackbirds, you can do robins as you see here, or just very pretty fantastic birds. So this is what you'll need to make these little birds. It looks quite a lot in here, but that's just because I've got all the beads together. Mainly you'll need some felt for the wings and for the body. You don't need to use two colours, you can use one. Some cardboard just to cut out your pattern. A stick. This is one of those wooden barbecue sticks. Any stick will do, but this is quite a good size for them. Some embroidery thread, little bit of filling for the body, and some acrylic paint for the beak. If you haven't got acrylic paint, don't worry about it. You can use a Sharpie pen. You can even just leave it the same colour as the bird if you want to, but you can pick up acrylic paint very, very cheaply and it will last you a lifetime. You need a selection of sequins and beads if you're going to use the sequins and beads. If you follow my instructions on this project, you will use them, but just a selection from the pound shop or whatever will do you. Some little scissors, obviously my trusty glue gun, some pins and needles. This needle is essential. It's a very, very thin, don't know if you can see it properly, very, very thin beading needle, and you do need a beading needle if you're going to use the beads. And there we are, let's get cracking. The first thing we're going to do is to cut out our template for our little birds. I'll just zoom in for you. It's a very, very simple pattern, you can see, and you can probably screenshot this if you want to trace it, but it's a very simple pattern and easy to do. That's the measurements, and that is rough. You can change that a little bit if you want to. Now we're going to cut out our shapes. Simply draw a line all the way around the bird's body and around the wing. I find the easiest way to do this is, and I have cut these out before for quickness to show you, once you've cut out your first one, rather than cut another, turn that one over. Pin it, cut around it, that way you will have two identical birds. Sometimes if you cut two out of here, you go a little bit over or whatever. This is the best way to do it, and then you'll have two identical birds. Once you've done that, place them facing each other so that you know that you've got an inside and an outside, and exactly the same for the wing. Mark the wing on the top so that you know which way they're going to lay on the birds. I'm going to begin by embroidering the wings, and for this particular bird, sometimes I do a blanket stitch. It's entirely up to you. For this particular one, I'm going to do a simple running stitch. This is going to be the front of my wing, so the back is where I want the knot to be, and if you can just slide your needle through the material there, you can see it'll hold the knot and you won't see it once it's on there, so you don't want it to show on the outside. So there we go, start that. All I'm going to do is a simple running stitch. Now I know that's the back, I know that that's the top of my wing for that particular side of the bird, so I can take my pin out. Literally I'm doing a very simple running stitch all the way around the wing. There we are. I would say while I'm doing this, this particular project is extremely satisfying and very, very relaxing. I'm doing this in my craft room today because I'm filming this, but I would normally be doing this with a tray on my lap, nice cup of tea, and watching maybe a film or binge watching something on YouTube, as we do. But it is so relaxing to do, and for anybody who is feeling a little bit stressful, it's a great one to try out. We're very mindful, aren't we, now, of people with stress and whatever, and this is a great de-stressor. Finish off just like that on the back, cut your thread, first one completed. Now what I'm going to do is just embellish the wings. I'm going to put my knot again here where you can't see it because it will be at the back of the bird. Bring my needle through between my little running stitches. You can decorate your birds exactly how you want to. I'm doing this way, but if you are doing small beadwork, you will need a very, very fine needle. It's difficult to see, but it's a very fine needle, but it will make your life so much easier. The beads I'm using here, I bought when my husband and I were travelling. I think these I got in Thailand many years ago in my early 50s, and it's influenced me a lot, the travelling, the different things I do. The birds, the first ones I ever saw were when we were travelling India, and the more garish they were, funny enough, the more attractive they were. They weren't trying to make these birds look real because they're not real. They were trying to make them look garish, and you know, in the sun when the beads are glittering or the sequins are glittering, they can look very pretty. So anyway, off we go. Pick up your first bead. When you put it in, try to just go below the surface. You don't need to go right through with felt because of the type of material it is. Try and keep your bead flat. Pick up another. I'm going to do all these little gold beads. You can do whatever colour you want to do. Again, straight through to the next bit. So you can see what I'm doing, straightening up the beads as I go. And I'm just going round and round and round until I get to the other end when I'll finish it off. So I've embellished my little leaf. I've put the little beads all the way around the edge. And I've also put a couple of sequins, 3 sequins down the side. You can do whatever you like. Now I'm going to embellish the body. I'm going to make this quite sparkly actually. So this is the design that I want. You can see that. And I'm going to use sequins around the edge. For his eye, I'm also going to use like a flower sequin, but that we'll put on later. What I have done is I've worked out how many beads I'm going to use or sequins and what colours, and I've put an equal amount on this side ready to use on this side of the bird. So now we get rid of the little wing, get that out of the way. We don't need his eyes, and take those off for a moment. Start wherever you like. I actually still use a beading needle for this, but you don't actually need to because the sequins hole in it is quite big. It's just I find it quite delicate to use the beading needle. So literally just sew him in like this, each one. Bit fiddly to begin with, but you will get used to it and it's fun. Don't go too near the edge because of course you have to sew around it to make it a whole bird. So sometimes in the past I've actually sewn around the bird first, stuffed it and then embellished it. You can do whichever is easier really, but I felt that this was a bit easier to show you, because once you've put this stick inside the body, the stick does get a bit in the way. So all the way around with your sequins or whatever you're going to do, and I'll come back to you in a moment when I've finished this little bit. You don't have to do sequins, as I say. You can just sew right around the bird. You can do a nice little embroidery stitch. That would be nice as well. It depends what you like to do, you know, what's your thing really. So that's all we're doing at the moment, is embellishing the little bird all the way around till you come to the end of your pattern, and then we'll do the other one, and then I'll show you how to sew them together. So I've put my sequins on where I want them to be, all the way around. Then I've started to sew around the edge of the bird with a little running stitch. I've got to here, and this is where I want to stop. So I want to do a couple of little anchor stitches, for want of a better word, just a couple of stitches, and then I want to just go back through the felt as I showed you before, just through the middle of the material. It doesn't show on that side, and that's what we want. We need to have a little gap, approximately 1 centimetre here, and this is just to use to stuff the little bird. We don't use a lot of stuffing, he doesn't need a lot, but we do need to put some filling inside him, and we need to put the little stick inside his tummy there as well, so which will be to hold him up. So I'm going to go all the way up with this little running stitch, all the way up until I get to the beak. Now it's my preference not to sew the beak. I think it looks a lot neater if you'll use the glue gun or a little bit of boss stick to stick the beak down, and then to paint it with a little bit of acrylic paint, or you could even use a Sharpie pen, something like that. But your choice. If you want to sew it, please do. If you're not going to sew it, you just need to take your thread over there out of the way, put it back in there at the other end of his beak, and then do a couple of holding stitches there. So his beak is open at the moment. Then you carry on all the way around the body like this, little running stitches, until you get to the end of his tail, or wherever you've started, back to the beginning. All right. So I've just put a tiny bit of glue inside the beak, and it is a tiny bit. It's instantaneous with this glue gun. You can use boss stick or something, but if you do, I would suggest you maybe use one of these little clips just to hold it until it has stuck, but the glue gun will stick straight away. Then I'm going to use this wooden chopstick. This is my favourite tool for stuffing things. You could use this if you've nothing else, but I use this because the end's good, and it's a nice wood. It feels nice in your hand, and it's something that I always use. So little bits at a time are best. You could use cotton wool for this if you want to. I'm using a filling from an old pillow. When I renew my pillows on my beds, then I just wash them, and then I just use them for, well, for stuffing anything really that I've got that I'm making at the time, and I'm usually making something all the time. So enough stuffing just to give him a little paunch, if you like, want of a better word, and a nice little head. So just carry on stuffing him until you feel that he's thick enough. So I've stuffed him. He's not too tightly here because you're going to have to push a stick in here. So he's nicely stuffed. He's fine. The next thing I'm going to do is to sew his eye on. Now his wing is going to be around there, so I'm going to put my knot under the wing so that it doesn't show. And then we can just cut that thread off, or you won't even see it when his wing's on. So now I'm going to do his eye, and how I'm going to do it, I'm going to use one of these little golden flowers. I think they might look quite pretty. And to hold them on, I'm going to use a small bead, just a tiny little purple opaque bead and go back through the eye to hold it on. Okay, can you see that fine? Then pick up your little flower again, Stacey. It's going to go there. Pick up your little bead. You don't need to use the flower, you can use, sometimes I use these big black beads, and they can look quite nice as well. So roughly in the same position, as near as you can get it. But as I said, most of these birds you will see from one angle. You're very rarely going to look at it from that angle. It's going to be either like this or it's going to be like that. So then just make it nice and secure by going through your bead again and back through your flower. Through the middle, through your bead, just to give it a nice secure latch on. There we go. Then we'll just get rid of that bit because you don't need that anymore. And there we are. And there he's got his little eye. That can just be tidied up a bit. And there he is. We're now going to just put our wings on. So I've pinned one already. Turn that over. Pop that in. As long as it's roughly the same, you can see, then that's fine. Pop a little pin in there. Notch your thread. And as I say, the same as before, put it where it's not going to show. You're not going to sew all the way around the wing because we want a little bit of fluidity in it. So we're going to start here, maybe go down there, and we're going to go backwards and forwards through the wing, through to this wing. Back again. If you want to take the pins out now, do, because they do catch in the needle a little bit. So back again, and back again, and back again. I would sew this around to about here, so that when you get to there, you've got a nice little bit of flappy wing. So I'm just going to go to the end of the wings, and then I'll come back and show you the next bit, which is quite interesting. So we've put our little bird out of the way for the moment, and now I'm going to show you how to make the strings of beads that fall down below the little bird. You can make them as long or as short as you want, remembering that a little bit of it will go inside the bird, so it will be a little bit shorter than you think. Also, I tend to use a bigger bead as a little anchor bead down here because it makes the bead hang better, I think, but that's entirely up to you. So to begin with, you need, I use either a translucent or a very pale thread, a white or a cream, something like that. And you need to knot your thread at the bottom, and you need your beading needle. I'm going to use a dark bead so that you can see it better. So I've picked up a dark bead. I'm going to use that bead as an anchor, and so I'm going to go through the loop of my cotton like this, just so that I'm going to hold that bead in place. That is going to be the anchor of our thread, so that when we put it on our stick, that will be fixed there, and the beading will be coming down here. So we need to just pick up different beads. Any beads will do. Little ones are nice, obviously, but you can use any that you like. I've got these little gold ones. I'm going to use quite a lot of these. Because I'm using a pearl at the bottom, I'm going to put a few pearls in as well. So you literally just keep going, picking up your beads, doing whatever colour you want, Different colours are quite nice to mix in with it until you have a whole strand of beads like this. So I'm just going to keep going with these and get a few more on this cotton, and then going to show you exactly what we do next. So just keep going like this. So we have this strand now of beads. I now want to put on the bottom of the anchor bead, and to do that I need to secure it. So I'm just going to go through it a couple of times like this with my cotton, just to hold it in place. Maybe go through there as well, just to give it a little bit more of a anchor. Okay, just like that. Then, and this is the fiddly bit, but it is doable, keeping the big bead out of the way if you can, you're going to put the needle up all the way through the middle of the bead that you've just done. So all the way up the strands. So starting at the bottom, all the way, just pushing the needle up. I'll do it in stages because it's easier to show you. But do keep your cotton straight, and do keep it slow. Don't rush this, because if you rush it, the cotton will knot. If the cotton knots, basically you just cut it and you have to start all over again. So I've got to here. Now I'm going to just go back into that bead all the way up, and I'm going to try and go in one fair swoop all the way up, 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 right to the very top. Okay, so the needle's coming out the top all the way, just very, very gently pulling your cotton until you've got them all on the one string. Make sure they're nice and even, and when you've got to the top, this little coloured bead that we went into to begin with, we're just going to go in again just to secure it, to make sure that that is hanging beautifully, which it is. Now I'm going to go and make another string, put the pearl on the bottom, go up again and end it there, and then we will fix it to the stick and we'll have our strands. So I'll come back to you in a moment when I've done that. So I've made 2 strands now, and I've done it exactly the same as I showed you on the first one, and gone all the way back up, up, up to the top, and then I've just done a couple of stitches in that top little bead there. Now what I'm going to do is put a tiny piece of glue, only a little bit for now, because I just need it to hold it in place, and I'm going to lay, if you will, the little bead across the top, just like this. Okay, so it's just holding there. Then I'm going to put a little bit more glue on, and I'm just going to wind the little thread that I saved at the end. I'm just going to wind that on, just so that it holds nicely in place. And then what we'll do is we'll just cut that bit off. Give that a chance to dry, which again takes seconds. And the next thing we're going to do is insert our little beaded stick inside our bird. So just like this. So get the little edge, open it a little bit. You don't want to get glue on your outside of your bird, so you know, just be careful how you do this. Hold your beads out of the way and just put, oops, just put your glue on the end of your stick. Hold your beads out of the way and push that in quite tight if you can, and just hold it in place for a moment. If you don't want to hold it, just clip a little clip on it, that will keep it, but it will dry I beg your pardon, it will dry instantly, this. And there are your little beads. And we're almost there. So now we just need to put a little ribbon on and to paint his beak. We can paint the stick if you like. That's up to you. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then he's done. So let's find some ribbon and just make him nice and pretty. I'm just going to tie a ribbon around the bottom. You can put a bow either side if you want to. I'm not going to on this occasion, but you can do. Put one at the back and one at the front. And I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue on there just to hold it in place. Then I'm going to get the ribbon and just fold it over. So I'm trying to make a little bow. That's all we have to do. Like this. Any glue residue like this just pulls off as soon as it's dry, so don't worry if you get that on there. Again, a tiny bit, not much, just needs to hold it in place for our second little bow. Give it a push to hold it down. There we are. As easy as that. Then you just snip off your ribbon. If you want to, you could have longer ribbons, or you don't even need to use beads. You could use ribbons, it's fine. I would suggest that if you're going to use ribbon, just at the bottom, sometimes they fray. And if you use a lighter, just near the ribbon, just near, not on top of it, but just near. What it does, it just melts the ribbon. And it stops it fraying, and this is a good tip to use. I've told you before in other things I've done, but it definitely does work. I think what I might do, I might put a little bead in there or a little diamond, just to make it a bit more fancy, you see. So I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue again, pick up my bead and pop him in there. What would we do without a glue gun? I honestly don't know what I'd do. Go round and see if there is any little residue bits of filling or glue, and he's nearly done. Then I'm going to use a black acrylic paint, a tiny bit. You need very, very little, very, very little. And you can pick up, this particular one is a more expensive one, but I don't usually use this, it's just that it was to hand. But you can pick up a whole huge tube in Range or the Works for a couple of £, and it will last you for years. So just paint his little beak. You can get gold, all sorts of colours. You haven't got to do him black. You can do him all different, you know, different colours, whichever you like really. There we are. And just let him dry. That will take a little bit of time to dry, not long, but it will take a little bit of time to dry. So we'll just leave that there. And basically there's your little bird. I hope you like him. I think he's quite pretty. And when he's put with his friends in a plant pot, I think he could look quite nice, actually. With his little robin, maybe, at Christmas. What do you think? I don't know. Anyway, if you like what you see, please press the subscribe button and leave a comment and let me know what you think. Before I go, I just would like to say a huge thank you to my granddaughter, Emily. I'm not technical at all, and you can tell that by the way I'm doing things. I'm like you, I just do what I do. But Emily is my little editing agent. She's not 14 yet, but she helps me so much. And so a huge thank you to Emily. And when you see the different edits that she does, it's not me, it's all her. Enjoy making your birds. Subscribe, as I say, if you want to, and please let me know what you think. And I look forward to showing you another project soon. Take care. Bye bye.